start if you'd like.
You tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you all for being with us today. It's wonderful to be gathered here in front of the Capitol with all these advocates for our horses, our lost equines, to point out to the public just how important they are and what magnificent animals they are and why they need to be protected. I want to thank the Wild Beauty Foundation, its founder, Ashley, and this whole project of protecting our lost horses. Their leadership means so much because being here on the hill, and some of these folks have come from a long way. Uh, when you look a person in the eye and you talk to them about the issue, it makes a lot of difference. It's not just an email, not just a phone call, but you're actually here telling the story of our horses. You know, this is an issue that a lot of people in this country care about. 80% of people do not want horses carried off to some slaughterhouse and used for human consumption. And that's what the SAFE Act is all about, to stop that, to save our forgotten horses. Um, you know, when horses are rounded up, put in trucks, shipped thousands or hundreds of miles in bad conditions for slaughter, it's the most traumatizing, awful thing you can imagine. And our horses don't deserve that. They're not livestock in the traditional sense. They work with us. They're our companions. They're our pets. They have been with us throughout history. They're icons of the West, certainly, and a big part of our culture. So what we can do to protect them makes all the difference. This SAFE Act, like I said, would outlaw the human consumption of horses. The public supports that. Should have bipartisan support here on the Hill, and we need to do away with it. But that's just one step. We've also got to address the roundups of our wild horses by the BLM, the use of helicopters to terrorize the horses and chase them down, to get BLM to use more humane ways of controlling those populations. It's a long chain, and we need to address every link of it. But this is a very important part, and it's so great to have everybody come and rally for this cause. I'm humbled by the fact, look at these signs, and look at these young people. Look how many young people care about this issue. They are the voice of the future, and that's the voice of today when our Congress members should listen to what they have to say. So I'm pleased to be the co-chair of the Wild Horse Caucus, to pursue these issues along with protection of other animals, and to be a sponsor of the SAFE Act. And I thank all of you for making the trip, for bringing this issue to the fore, to doing rallies in your own districts to let people know what's going on, because the key to it is having that information. A lot of people don't realize this is happening. They just can imagine it, so they don't think about it. So having an event like this to highlight the problems is really important. So thank you all for being here. And when you go knock on those doors, twisting those arms, be sure to tell those members of Congress to vote for the SAFE Act.
thank you, everyone, for being here today on behalf of the Lost Horses. My name is Ashley Avis. I'm a filmmaker, a journalist, and the founder of the Wild Beauty Foundation. I was fortunate to grow up surrounded by horses and to have my imagination ignited by great equine literature like Anna Sewell's Black Beauty, Walter Farley's The Black Stallion, and later in life I got the opportunity to write and direct Black Beauty for Disney, which touched tens of millions of children and families and individuals around the world. And it was in creating that film and bringing Anna Sewell's morals and ethos into our world today on behalf of the horses of today that I started learning more about issues horses are facing in our country, the wild horse roundups in the West, horses being sold off and shipped across our borders to slaughter. And surrounding Black Beauty, my team and I ended up creating a documentary that focused on the wild horse issue And the last piece of filming that we did was going into the auction world of Texas, going undercover, sewing button cams into our shirts, and getting a firsthand and very tragic and very horrific glimpse into what is actually happening to our horses. So few people know that 25,000 horses a year are being shipped across the border. That is not humane euthanasia when they cross our borders. They're put into trucks with little food, if any, little water, if any, crammed in and essentially abandoned. In our country, we don't raise horses as food animals. We raise them as companions, as athletes, as therapy partners. They work with children, they work with veterans, they thunder down the racetrack, they jump in the arenas. They have helped to build our country, and they've been there by our side. And we cannot be the generation that allows them to continue to be abandoned into the horror of the slaughter pipeline. And so our organization created the Lost Horses to complement the incredible work of organizations that we've partnered with, such as AWI, ASPCA, all of these great groups that are fighting for this. And the SAFE Act has been around for a long time. It's the year of the horse, and it's time to finally pass this and to stop horses going across our borders. So the Lost Horses campaign has resources available where people can share PSAs, they can share talking points, they can lobby their members of Congress, and we can be the generation that leaves a legacy as magnificent as the horse. So thank you for being here today, and I would love to introduce Joe DeFrancis, who is a champion in the thoroughbred racing world.
Thank you very much, Ashley, and good morning, everyone. It is a real honor for me to be here today to speak in support of the SAFE Act, which is a critically important piece of legislation that, as Ashley observed, has been around for a long time, but needs to be passed now. I've been lucky enough to be involved with thoroughbred horse racing since I literally was 6 years old. And I've been lucky enough to wear just about every possible hat that someone could wear in the business. I've walked hots, I've groomed horses, I've done just about every job at a racetrack that you can do, and I was lucky enough to ultimately become the majority shareholder and CEO of the Maryland Jockey Club, which is the parent company of Pimlico Racecourse, home of the Preakness, the middle jewel of the Triple Crown, and Laurel Park, the other major thoroughbred track in Maryland. And unfortunately, far too many of my colleagues in the thoroughbred industry don't realize what a serious problem slaughter is for thoroughbreds. They look at it as a problem for somebody else. It's a problem for equestrian horses or quarter horses or standardbred horses, not thoroughbreds. But it is. It's a very big problem for thoroughbreds, and we need to open our eyes and acknowledge it and get together and get this legislation passed. The situation brings to mind a lot of similarities to what a cause that I've been involved with for the last dozen years that was successfully resolved here in Washington about 6 years ago, and that's the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act. When the bill was first introduced, it was one of the most significant pieces of federal legislation involving thoroughbred horse racing ever passed. And it was a decade-long effort to get it done. It was a lot of work, but in the end, the right was on our side, and we were successful. And the same thing, it is the exact same thing with this legislation. It's critically needed. It's, as Ashley observed, it's been around for a long time, but now is the time to get it done. And in conclusion, I would just like to sort of remind everyone of one of my favorite movie scenes at the end of the movie The Untouchables. For those of you that are familiar with it, there's Elliot Ness is played by Kevin Costner, and Al Capone is played by Robert De Niro. And in the climax of the movie, the big courtroom scene where Al Capone gets convicted, and the courtroom erupts in chaos, and Kevin Costner fights his way through the crowd to yell something at Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro goes, "What?" And Kevin Costner says, "Never stop. Never stop fighting until the fight is done." And so I encourage all of us to never stop fighting until the fight is done. We are close to victory. It is at hand, and let's finish it. So again, Ashley, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I hope everyone continues the fight until it's finished. Who speaks next?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's come out, flown in around the country. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to our partners, and a huge thank you to Congresswoman Titus, who has been a tireless champion of equine issues. We appreciate it. We have voices. We're beholden to use them. Let's use them so no horse is lost again. Let's pass the SAFE Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for helping us get this message out, and we will never stop fighting for this. It's an important cause, and it's part of our American culture. So the advocates who are here deserve a lot of credit for their determination. our documentarian here, our movie person. It's always nice to have a celebrity out front to draw people's attention, and the work that's being done is just the way democracy is supposed to operate. So thank all of you. If you have any questions, you've got the experts here. Talk to some of these young people and understand the compassion that they feel for this issue. Thank you so much.
Great work. Beautiful work, guys. Alrighty. Great. Thank you.